It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Deb Davis. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about transparent empowerment through transparency. How to turn failures into setbacks in so many words. What's going on, Deb? How you doing?
Hi, Shay. I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today, but it's good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. You're someone I had a chance to meet not once, not twice, but several times. And now I get a chance to actually present the person who's, I believe, a rock star, by the way. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for inviting us into your home. We don't take that lightly right now. Maybe you're cooking dinner and we're playing in the background on the iPad right now. And if you're listening to the iPod and you're at the gym right now and we're in your ears, by the way, thank you so much for being part of this. We really appreciate it. Deb, as we get started, they're looking at it and saying, wow, empowerment through transparency. Take a moment, if you would, and when people hear the word empowerment, they might be curious, Deb, what does that even mean, the word empowerment?
Yes, that's really a good question. Empowerment to me actually came to me at a very crucial time in my life. So when I felt like I wasn't empowered or I felt like needed to like shrink back into the background, I just said, the word just came to me, empowerment. So to be empowered is to be more of yourself, to step out in boldness, to not be afraid, or even sometimes to do it afraid. So that's what empowerment in this sense means for me.
You know, why do people struggle so much with being transparent, with just being themselves? I know that's a loaded question, by the way, and there's different
Yeah.
people at different spaces in their life. But I'm curious, why are folks so afraid to share who they are and what they represent?
Well, I think kind of like the short answer is fear of being judged, fear of what other people are going to say. And to be transparent, you really have to be empowered. You have to be so much, right, really pretty much beyond yourself, um, and not fear what others will think about you. Because in order to be transparent, I feel you gain strength through being transparent. And I've always shared my stories. And I always like live my life like an open book. So to be transparent, um, you need that strength to be able to feel that nobody is going to be, people are going to judge you, but you have to not be afraid of that judgment.
You know,
So I think,
we're going to get into her backstory, ladies and gentlemen. I know Deb Davis. Deb is famous all over the world, but some of you are meeting her for the very first time, Deb. Some folks, they have no idea who the famous Deb is. But before we get into your backstory and things that have happened to you, talk about your ability to not be so fearful of any setbacks and challenges you had. I know I'm one of those folks. I was guilty. I didn't want anybody to know anything about me because so many things have been horrible that I made bad decisions. And I was like, man, if they just knew I wasn't perfect, they might not even talk to me. And I know it held me back for many, many years. How are you
yeah.
able to share, which we'll hear about in a few minutes, but how are you able to share a little about yourself and not be as fearful of people judging you?
I think basically, well, I've always been in the public. My journey has been pretty much diverse. I started out in retail, so I was always in sales. I did sales for like 34 years. Then I moved into photography. And even in my photography world, I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I love telling people stories and also sharing my story. Um, and then that really was birth. That's how empowerment through transparency was birthed out. Being able to feel free to be transparent and just to be who I am. if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And one of the things I admire about you is when we got a chance to meet for the very first time, by the way, you treated me and I
Hmm.
saw you treating everyone as if they were all equals, by the way. And I was there
Hmm.
serving. And, sometimes people see you late and be like, oh, I had no idea. And you weren't that
Hmm.
person. You treated me as if I
Yeah.
was equal from the very beginning, although you were the rock star there. Ladies and gentlemen,
Uh,
she was the one that was the rock star doing all the cool stuff. And I got to hang out with the people. But my question to you is this: for those folks that don't know you, they're like, okay, Shay, she's talking about this empowerment through transparency.
yeah.
Who is she? What's her backstory? So, do you mind taking a
Hmm.
moment and sharing about what's your backstory that led you to talking about what you're talking about now? It's a good one, I
Okay.
believe.
Yep, got it. Again, back to who I am. I'm a mother, a wife, a grandmother, a sister. But my journey, like I say, it started out um, how I got to this point. It was basically, and I started photography in 2018. And my main focus was focusing on headshots. And earlier this year, my life changed when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. That experience inspired me to start empowerment through transparency. And empowerment through transparency basically is a space where women can share their stories and find strength in healing. Excuse me. And actually, my faith and the support of others have really guided me through this period of my life.
What was it like? And I don't mean to take you there. If you need some water, that's fine, by the
Hmm.
way. I don't mean to take you
Yeah,
there.
so,
One, take us to that moment, if you will, if you don't
yeah.
mind, when you were in the doctor's office and the doctor shared the diagnosis with you.
Hmm.
What was going through your mind? What were you feeling? We're curious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it started out, I was actually in Vegas on my way home at the airport. I get the phone call, and obviously, when your doctor is calling you at 4 something in the evening, you figure like, okay, I had already been waiting on the test results and everything, and I immediately, after I answered the phone, I stopped the conversation and I said, I am on my way home. I'm not in town right now. Give me a call tomorrow. And on that ride home on the plane, my mind automatically, I didn't go to any negative thoughts or anything like that. I said, you know what? I'm just going to wait. I'm going to continue my ride home. And then when I get home, I'll deal with that tomorrow. The next day, it still took them half of the day to call me. I think I got a call maybe 2 something in the afternoon. And immediately the nurse, she was like, well, I'm going to be your nurse navigator. And you have tested positive for breast cancer, just like that. That's just how she said it. And honestly, Shay, I could not believe what I was hearing. It felt like a gut punch. And immediately I just dropped to the floor. And I don't know, I was just down on my knees and I was just still listening to her conversation. She was going over a whole lot of stuff about what was to come and this and that. I can't even tell you everything that she said, but after I got off the phone, um, I just said, Lord, is this my story? And that was it. That was it. And my mom lives next door to me, and I just went to share the news with her, and that's where the journey began.
Yeah. What was it like talking to your family about it? Is that something you told your family, or is that something you just kind of kept to yourself?
No, actually, while I was going through all the testing, I had to go back and forth to the hospital, to the doctor for different test results and different tests. So they kind of knew that I was on this journey already. Knew that I was just pretty much waiting on test results. So I shared it with my immediate family, my husband, my mom, my sister, my brother, and then eventually shared it with my grandchildren. But that was my whole support system. I just really just needed my family and wanted my family around. And obviously, I didn't share it to a whole lot of extended family, but I shared it to my immediate family. And I knew I wanted to share with them because I knew what I was going to need it the coming months.
Yeah. I mean, you're able to
Yeah.
share it and be so transparent in this moment. What was it like getting started back in terms of just doing business? Did you shut everything down for a while and just kind of
Hmm.
shrink back? It seems like you kind of powered forward. Tell us a little bit about that journey, if you don't mind. And for those folks that are home right now, you're talking to the one and only Deb, and she's kind of sharing her experience, how she's able to do empowerment through transparency and the backstory behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the journey started, like I said, April 2024. I had my surgery in June, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer in both breasts. And I had to have a double mastectomy, and I had that in June. And I was off work I went on my trip in March, and I have not worked really since March. I just started back working about a month ago. So I did. I took time for myself. I took off work. I stopped immediately. I stopped everything, all my networking, everything. I just wanted to just focus solely on my health and to just be with myself and, go through this process with having my family by my side.
What would you say to the person now that's listening and watching, and they said, "Man, Deb, I've got news from a family member that's going through something now, and I want to support them." Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not
Hmm.
counseling session. I'll be very clear,
Yeah.
okay? But if you could give them, one, two, or three things that they could do to support someone, whether it's a family member
Right.
or a close friend, what is something that they could do if they're watching now and leaning forward?
Right. That's a really good question, Shay, because when you or a family member has been diagnosed with a cancer diagnosis or something like that, a lot of times we don't know what to say. A lot of times we don't know what to do. But on being on this side of it, I can share what I needed, and I actually was able to share that with my family. I just needed you to be there. I needed you to be an ear. I didn't need a whole lot of questions because I didn't have a lot of answers. Sometimes you want to, I think it's very important also not to treat uh, someone that has told you this news as a victim, because it's not a victim. It's just happened to be, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, just like someone probably was diagnosed with a heart disease or whatever. But when you're in that situation, I feel most people want you to be there. And sometimes it's just being there, even if you're just silent, even if you're there just to listen. But most important is don't treat them like a victim. Don't ask a whole lot of questions, but just be there as much as you can for that person. So,
Yes, well said. And to the other person that's sitting there that received the news,
hmm,
and they're watching now, and they're hearing and say, "Wait a minute, this is me. I mean, she is I."
yeah.
Again, ladies, again, I know it's not counseling or anything, but can you share maybe one or two or three things you would say to that person right now that just recently got the news themselves and they're in a state of shock? What would you
Yeah.
say based on your experience to that person?
I would say know that you're not going to always be in that state, that healing is coming. And healing is about finding that peace with where you are now, because that's basically what I had to find. I had to find a peace at the state that I was in right now, not where I used to be, but where I am right now. And um, and your value isn't tied basically to how you feel at that point, how you think this outcome may be. It's about the person that you are and the strength that you carry on the inside, because you do have that strength, and you have to somehow, despite the news that you receive, pull from that strength and honestly, God will help you with the rest.
I love it. Beautiful story. And, you know, now as we watch you and follow you on social media, I'm one of your social media stalkers, by the way. You're now taking up walking, and you're taking up sharing
Yeah.
this journey. Where did that come from, and how does that play a role in how you feel these days? Congratulations, by the way. I don't want
hmm
to give it all away yet, but
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you so much, Shay. After being diagnosed with something such as breast cancer, immediately you think about your health. You think about health journey. And now that I'm on the other side of surgery, I'm on the other side. I'm in the process of therapy. So I do hormone therapy right now. So I'm still in the midst of that. So knowing that I'm in the midst of all that, I made a conscious decision to make sure that I was going to do every single thing that within my power that I can do to improve my health. And that meant going on um, a walking journey. And I just started to make sure I set a goal to do at least 5,000 steps a day. That's where I started. I'm now up to almost 10,000, not quite 10,000, but I made it a
Congratulations.
personal goal. Thank you. I made it a personal goal, and I made sure that I wanted to start eating right. Eating right for a lot of people is a whole lot of different things. For me, it was like doing away with a lot of salts and sugars and that type of stuff, and making sure I got a lot of water intake. So that has been my journey. I'm constantly on that journey, and walking just makes me feel renewed, refreshed, and especially when I'm able to get outside and walk, it's just it just makes you feel so much better.
Well, as a fellow runner, I'm a runner outdoorsman. I know it's a little cold out there in Detroit, by the way. But, you know, get some
hmm
gloves, get the right gear, and you're going to be just fine.
Oh
If
yeah,
we
you can still
can,
do it.
I like to, I like to step back for a moment, because you mentioned something I think is important. And you mentioned
hmm
about you're in therapy right now. You said it, not me, ladies and gentlemen. She said it very openly and
hmm
honestly. And I know in our culture, we look alike, by the way. At least in my neighbor, I'll say in my group of folks, going to therapy is like the last thing, right? The first thing is you're supposed to go to church and you talk to the minister, and
Yeah.
the minister gives you everything you need. And that is true. And for someone myself who had been through therapy, you know, I've been through therapy many times, ladies and gentlemen. Take a moment and talk about why that's important to you. Maybe not be
Yeah.
for everyone, but for someone out there
hmm
that might be a step, and you might be thinking, "Oh my God, I under no circumstances." You know, take a moment and talk about why it was important for you to go do it, and maybe what it's done for you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Shay, one of my hardest moments was recovering from my double mastectomy. I struggled with seeing myself in the mirror and coming to terms with the physical change to my physical body. It wasn't that I ever doubted my worth or my identity as a woman. It was about learning how to embrace the new version of who I was. And what helped me was I couldn't just, sit around and be afraid of what I was feeling, how I look, and I knew that I needed to get used to this new version of myself. And with that, the only thing that really helped me, yeah, I am saved. I go to church. I do all of that. But I knew I needed therapy. And we should not be afraid of needing therapy. I tell people we have to take care of our mental just like we take care of our physical. So for me, therapy, journaling, and leaning on my support system, those were the things those things reminded me that my beauty and strength comes from within. It wasn't just about how I looked on the outside. So that was more important, that I needed to get back to that state of knowing and believing in who I was, even in this new version, in my new body, because it's a total different feeling, but it's still who I am.
Yeah, was a fellow believer, then I'm with you all the way. Congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the
hmm
good side. She's also in business. She's in the business of doing visual storytelling. She calls it photography, by the way, but she's capturing moments that folks will leave behind as a legacy. Take a moment, if you would, and tell us, how did you get into that business, by the way, and what did you enjoy most about it? And again, thanks for being so transparent with sharing and being, and that's what it's about. She says empowerment through transparent, and I don't know if you could have been more
Yes, yes,
transparent with us right now. So thank you so much. Curious, how did you get
yes.
into the photography business, and what has it been like being a business owner, by the way?
Great, great. Thank you. I've always loved photography, and I know you probably hear a lot of photographers. I've been doing this since I could hold a camera. That literally was me. Okay. But I also come from the corporate world. I did 39 years in the corporate world and then recently retired. I was still kind of young when I retired. So I'm like, what am I going to do after I retire? I was definitely not coming home and be a couch potato. I didn't want to just come home and sit down. So I retired in 2018, and that's when full time photography started. I used to do jobs and different things for my church. I always photographed the program. I mean, all different programs that we had and that kind of stuff. Birthday parties, I was always the one with the camera in my hand, and family events and all of that. One day I was at church and I was photographing an event, and it was an annual event. And after I got done, my pastor paid me. And after he paid me, I'm like, huh, I can do what I love to do and get paid. And that's when my mindset changed. In 2018, I sought out to be a professional photographer. I did all the necessary things that I needed to do, educate myself, went to school, took some classes, went to workshops, went to all different kind of photography conferences, and I started my business at the end of 2018. Was when I actually um, incorporated my business, and now I do this full time.
Ah, congratulations to you, ladies and gentlemen. And she does some amazing, incredible work. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing now? Because you
No,
online, we see you have this niche as well. So you've taken something that was a
yeah,
general business, and you got to found a niche in headshots, and you're still doing other things. So
yeah.
I guess my question to you is, what do you enjoy most about it when you're taking capturing someone's moment?
hmm hmm what I love most about it, and you're right, I specialize in professional headshots. I love the one-on-one with people. I love working in crowds. I like that as well, but it's that intimate time that you can have with a client when you're working one on one with them. You can hear them, they can hear you, you can listen at their stories, basically find out what that individual need is. So, the most important thing that I like is just really getting to know the different clients that I work with on more than just, I'm just here to take my photo. Why are you here to take your photo? What drew you, to come here other than maybe your job or something like that? So you find out their insecurities, and I like to pride myself on, like, I am more not just a photographer, but too, Shay, you're not just a photographer. You're basically there. You can be their counselor, you can be their friend, you can be all of that, and hear them when they say, I really don't like taking photos. And that's the most important thing that I like the most, because I like to turn that statement around. So when they walk out my door, I always get, not always, but I love to hear the people that say, you know what? It was so nice working with you because you brought out something in me that nobody else can bring out. So I love bringing out the inner beauty in people because it's there. A lot of people don't know that it's there, but that's my main goal every time when I'm working with clients, is finding that spot and that place that they never knew that was there. I know it's there, but they never knew it was there.
I love it, man. Talk about the importance of collaboration and partnerships. And one of the things I
Yeah.
admire about you is in the industry, sometimes folks say, look, don't talk to me. I got mine. Don't ask me no questions. But what I notice about you, and ladies and gentlemen, I've had the chance to be in a prison, not once, not twice, but I don't know, probably 8 or 9 times. And you're willing to collaborate with other folks
Hmm.
and play a role as well. So talk about the importance of collaboration and partnerships without being fearful that, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
nobody's going to know what I do and I'm not going to get any business.
Right.
The power of
Right. Right.
collaboration. Why is that so important?
Yeah, it is very important. Here in Michigan, I'm actually the president of one of our photography groups. It's called Professional Photographers of Michigan. And we pride ourselves on community over competition. And what that means is that we're not afraid to get with whatever photographer groups, or there's thousands of groups here in Michigan. And it's so important to know that just because you're doing the same thing, it doesn't mean that you can't work together. I may take headshots, you may do events, you may do weddings, you may do whatever your role is. So we teach in our photography group that it's better to be within the community and rather than worry about competition. And when you collaborate, I'm a really that's really what I love doing. I have a team of photographers that and this came from being able to collaborate and not being afraid or intimidated by someone else that may do the same thing that you do. You know, me and Emma work together. I work with other photographers that um, I may get a job that I can't do on any given day, but I got a line of photographers that I can refer those jobs to. So that's the power of being able to collaborate with other photographers, videographers, or whoever that may be. You can't be afraid. And to be honest, Shay, you really can't do this all by yourself because you can't be on an island all by yourself because it may be something that you need or something that you need to learn, and your fellow photographer or someone else in another group may have that answer for you.
That's one of the things that I admire about you, by the way. This has been awesome, ladies and gentlemen. You may not notice, but we are behind the scenes, by the way. She don't give these exclusive types of interviews. I feel like I'm early adopter. Maybe one day she'll allow me to come back and I won't have to write no check. So I got her today and you have her today. Take a moment, if you will, as we come down the home stretch. Folks are curious. Well, two-part question. Let me ask this question first. It's one of my favorite questions to ask when I have time, and that is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? Now, I understand that you've read so many books. You've got years of experience. You've had many mentors along this journey, by the way, and probably
Yeah.
watched countless videos. You might not be able to remember all the videos you watched and so forth. But if you had to step back just with life in general and say, this is one of the best pieces of advice I've been given, Shay, that I want to pass on, what would it be and why?
Okay. My business coach gave me this advice. And I've always been one that no matter what project that I start, I always want to get to 100% and then launch, or make sure that everything is all my ducks is in a row and then go. And my business coach found that particular, he called it a flaw, but he found that within me. And the biggest thing that he told me this maybe about 8 years ago. He said, get to 70% and go. Meaning everything is not going to always be exactly the way that you want. Every I is not going to be dotted, every T is not going to be dotted, every program is not going to be totally set before you get ready to launch. So that was the biggest thing. And I took that on, and it helped me to not try to be a perfectionist. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
now when I'm working on things, it's like, okay, it may not be 100%, it may not be totally ready, but get to 70% and then go. And then everything else start falling in line.
Powerful words to live by the way. Thanks for sharing. What do you do for fun?
Hmm.
We're not out saving the world, making a difference for others, taking their photos, making them look good. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a photo real quick? No, I'm joking. What do you do for fun?
Shay, I have 6 grandchildren. And
Congratulations.
what's fun, what's fun, and then they range from age 23 all the way down to 5 years old. So it's like two different ranges. But I love traveling with them, just going to the park with them. Feel young with my grandchildren. I love doing that. That's what I really mostly do for fun, or just hanging out with friends, maybe grabbing something to eat or something like that. But my best time and the most time where I have fun is with my grandchildren.
How cool is that? As we come down the home stretch, and I have two grandkids, so I get it. Coming down the home
Yeah.
stretch, two-part question. Number one, how can folks connect with you? They heard you said you have your own
hmm
business, and maybe they're in Detroit, maybe they're not, and they're listening, saying, "Wow, I'd like to connect with her, at least stay in the conversation." Is there a website? Is there a place I can go?
Yeah.
Number one, and number two, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any?
hmm Yes, thank you so much, Shay. You can connect with me via my website, DetroitCityHeadshots.com, or on any of the social media platforms at DetroitCityHeadshots.com. Or if you needed to just reach out to me directly, you can email me at Deb Marie at DetroitCityHeadshots.com, and I would love to connect with you. The type of people that I'm looking for, I'm really focusing on businesses. Businesses that's looking for professional headshots for whether it's their teams, individuals. That's what my main focus is. Like, I just did a couple of big jobs where I go into their conference room and they send their whole team in. I did 200 headshots in one group and 150 in another. So those are the type of people that I'm looking for. Also, I do individual headshots as well. But my main goal is to be that go-to photographer for corporations, businesses, teams, and stuff like that.
Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It's exciting to bring you to so many folks. You're normally behind the camera, so thanks for allowing me. I didn't have to drag her out, ladies and gentlemen. I just asked, and she said yes. So thanks for saying yes and being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Shay. Really
And
appreciate it.
thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So we're very humbled and appreciative that you allow us to stream into your home, that you participate and that you watch. And we never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, by the way, that you really are amazing, that you really are a special, incredible human being. And that's not a foo-foo or anything. That's the truth. And no matter if you're doing really well and there's another gear you're pushing towards, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I know is that today is your January 1st, no matter what the date is, and I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. So with that being said, my name hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone, and we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless. See you later. Thanks a lot. Peace. So long. Bye-bye.